Have you been wondering where you should start once you have had a DNA test? Well, I want to go over that real briefly with you today. Now, this is a question that lots of people ask. Where to begin my genetic genealogy journey after I've taken my test? I've spit, I've got the results back. It looks a little bit overwhelming. And it can be if you don't know where to start. So let me go over some steps here that you can use to make your genetic genealogy journey a little bit easier to start with. Now, step one of this journey is you've tested and they've sent you back your results is you want to download that raw data. What the raw data is it is your DNA. It's what you paid for. So that's why you want to get this. So figure out on there how to download that. Now, I have several videos on this channel about how to download from 23andMe and Ancestry and MyHeritage and Family Tree DNA and Living DNA. So check out those videos depending on where you have tested, which then will lead us to the next step. And that is, well, we want to upload that raw data to other sites. And this is where you can get more for less. For instance, if you tested with Ancestry or 23andMe, the only way to be in those databases is testing with them. But you can take that download from Ancestry or 23andMe and you can upload it to MyHeritage, you can upload it to Family Tree DNA, you can upload it to GEDmatch, you can upload it to Living DNA. In other words, instead of paying for 2 tests, you can pay for 1 test and 1 transfer fee, which is a lot less than paying for 2 tests. So upload that raw data to other DNA websites. Now we go on to step 3. And this is really a part of genealogy in general, is really start with what you know. In other words, take a look at that match list that looks overwhelming because there's thousands of people in it, and start from the top, the people that you're most closely related to, and see, hey, is there any of these matches that I already know? Maybe you have a cousin that has tested. Maybe you see a last name that you know is on a certain side of your family. Any clues like this are helpful in starting to categorize these matches. And so you want to start picking out, okay, who do I already know from this list? That brings us on to step 4, which is to identify our shared match groups. What we're going to do is we're going to take these matches of people that we already know, how they're related, and we're going to look at the shared match list to see what groups we can start to put people into. For instance, if I have a cousin on my match list that is from my dad's side, when I look at the shared matches, they probably are all on my dad's side. Now, the further out I go to second cousins or third cousins, that is just going to take those shared matches and put them in a particular line along my family tree. Now, on our channel, there's some various videos about clustering, about the Leeds method that you can also use to start to group your matches into clusters that are identified by specific lines on your family tree. So step 5, we've started to divide our matches up into more manageable chunks. We want to start researching the trees that are attached to the people in these groups. Not everybody has a family tree, but if I have a group that we share DNA, we're all part of shared matches, and let's say 3 or 4 of them have family trees that all lead to a single common ancestor, well, there's a good chance that everybody in that tree, everybody in that cluster is related to that common ancestor. And so we could label this cluster as part of that group. Now, I go into this in more depth in other videos on this channel, but this is just a quick guide for you as far as some basic steps of what you're going to go through. So start digging into those trees, start seeing where those common ancestors are, and if you can find out how you're related to those common ancestors, even better. All right, step 6 then is we've actually gone through quite a bit of work up to this point. We've identified people we know. We have identified clusters then of people that are related in certain ways to us. We've looked through those trees and hopefully found some certain common ancestors, maybe just common names or some locations of where some of our known ancestors were. We get to step 6, which is to actually now go and start contacting those matches. Why wait until now to contact the matches? Well, because we're going to have more information that we can provide to them as far as specifics of what we're looking for. We might know now, hey, this is on my grandmother's line and they were from Ireland. Well, that's 2 points that I can actually ask about. I can ask about these family names. I can ask about this location for these matches. And That's a lot easier than just asking somebody, hey, do you know how we're related? Because most people probably don't. But if you say, do you know of any relatives that might have been related to the Kilkennys and they were from Ireland? Well, now on my tree, I can think, oh, let's see here. I do know that there's some Irish. I know it's on my grandmother's, father's line, and I can start looking at that to pinpoint some information. And those are some 6 basic steps of starting. Now, this is not meant to be all-encompassing of everything you need to do, but what it is something to start with. Give you some ideas of what other videos to be looking for, what other questions to be asking, so that you can start on your journey. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the LEADS method, which is something I mentioned about how to cluster these groups, you can check this video out up here. But if you want to learn something else about DNA, then check out this video down below. Be sure to subscribe.